Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, we are covering a very essential piece and concept that I personally believe is one of, if not biggest, determining factors in what allows people for high levels of transformation versus one that they sort of dabble in. They rely on short, sharp spurts of energy and motivation, and then they sort of dwindle off and having never experienced the change and desired outcomes that they want. So it's a concept called behavioral flexibility. Now, has anyone ever asked you, how flexible are you? Right? And the first image that comes to mind is one that is probably some person doing the splits. We talk about physical flexibility. Flexibility in our joints, in our body, flexibility. However, the difference with behavioral flexibility is pretty much the degree or level that we are open to changing in terms of the way we behave on a day-to-day basis. And where people get caught up and where people have a lot of challenges that arise around this is that repeated behavior over a given amount of time creates this rigid and extremely tough and strong habit or pattern that our brain is so used to. And the more that we run that pattern and program, the harder it is to break. And the reality for many people is that they come to a time where they realize, or deep down they have this feeling of something that is eating away at them, almost like it's eating away at their soul, is when their actions and their behaviors and their habits are no longer aligning with what they truly value deep down. The person that they truly know they are or can be deep down is no longer in line with their actions. And when people go down this journey, it's usually coined a quarter life crisis. Midlife crisis is a more common one, but you'll notice a lot more people going through this crisis in their life, this identity crisis, and it's usually happened a lot earlier now with the advance of technology and new media. However, the reason that people experience these crises is because that it's that exact feeling. The actions are no longer in alignment with their value, with their values. Hence, there's this conflict between mind and body. You feel like you should be doing one thing, but you're doing the other thing. And there's a constant battle. Yeah. So the level of which that you are open to change, aka flexibility, is the level that you are going to have in terms of change, in terms of transformation, in terms of you getting closer to the thing that you desire the most, that person you know you would love to step into, right? And one thing that I've learnt this year, and it's probably one of the most valuable lessons that I've learnt this year, is that talent and your value in this marketplace, your value in this world has maybe a 5% value in terms of talent. When it comes down to it, your talent, your natural talent, only makes up 5%, if not smaller than that. To me, the level of your value that you have in this world is dependent on the level that you are willing to experience and be open to change. Again, the most simplified word to wrap that up is flexibility. How much are you willing to stretch yourself? Are you willing to adapt and mold in order to fit the thing that you want the most? So again, I go back to that initial question. When I ask you, how flexible are you? what I mean by that is, how flexible are you willing to be in order to become the person that is closest to your highest potential? That is what I mean by flexibility. That is what I mean when I ask you, how flexible are you? Now, right now, if I was to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how open are you to change? How willing are you to deviate from the current routine and behaviors and patterns that you have right now in order to become that person closest to your highest potential? A big thing to be aware of is that flexibility also is heavily dependent on the things of the past, right? So it's the family, societal, cultural conditioning that we've picked up. It's the modeling and contrasting of behaviors that we were surrounded by in our early environment, specifically our parents, family, friends, and we model certain behaviors. And the more we repeat that, the more dialed in it becomes, the more habitual and more of a habit it becomes. And we become rigid. It becomes second nature. It's just this repeated program that becomes a set behavior. So a big thing to realize is that moving forward, a lot of the things that we do in terms of getting us to this place of being able to do the necessary actions and do the things that we want to do and get closer to the person that we want to become, a lot of that does come down to unlearning a lot of our past behaviors, as well as relearning and then learning new set of behavioral patterns that, again, is in line with your current belief systems, with your current value systems, and what you are choosing to value moving forward. You may have seen those videos where there is a box sitting on a table with a mystery item or object that is in it. And the people on one side of the box have no idea what's in it because they can't see it. And where the other view is where the camera's at. So the viewer can see exactly what is in the box. And there's this social experiment, more so a human experiment, and it shows us the psychological occurrence and process that happens in our mind when it comes to fear and uncertainty, and this illusion that we create and this image that we paint inside our heads when we aren't certain, when we don't have the certainty available to us. And I find this really funny because as soon as the person attempts to put their hand in the box and then relay what they think it is, as the first reaction you see is as soon as they put their hand in, they don't even put it halfway. As soon as they do that, they rebound. Their hand just automatically reacts and just like rebounds out of the box. And what we observe here is that it's all a psychological phenomena because we are unaware and because there's this degree of uncertainty of what is inside there. The uncertainty triggers that fight, flight, freeze response, right? That animal ancient brain is firing. You know, cortisol gets released, heart rate increases, blood flow increases, and we stress, right? Stress is associated with uncertainty, with fear. And there's nothing more fearful amongst humans than the fear of the unknown. So as soon as a simple action of putting your hand in the box, your brain automatically has this bias towards the worst, that negativity bias that runs through our brain. And I love this experience because it shows us that no matter what is really inside that box, our mind will constantly play those tricks on us, constantly create those illusions in our head. And this is a behavioral pattern, this habit that goes deeper than just the amount of time that we spend on this earth. This goes into our genetics. This comes into our makeup. This is explained through the million-year-old brain that we have in between our ears, that's inside our head. And the reason I explain this is because that until you physically look inside the box, until you physically observe what is in the box, there could be anything in there. It could be a pink elephant, it could be a spider, it could be a red balloon, it could be anything. But the fact that we will revert to the thing that is the worst, again, because our biological history, our brain, we will believe that is what is in there, even though it's not. So the point of that is that in order for us to overcome the day-to-day fears, overcome that worry, overcome that anxiety, we have to, for those wanting to experience long-term impactful change, we have to start retraining our brain through action, through our behaviors. And that's going to then show us the evidence that we can do things. It's going to start allowing us to believe that we can move forward, that we can move through whatever challenges that we face. And one thing that stuck with me the most, that one of my past mentors honed in on, was that don't be so attached on your current self that you don't give your future self the opportunity to change, the opportunity to transform. Because we are so set in our ways, because we are creatures of habit. But don't let that shut you off from change, from a potential future that is abundant, that is fruitful, that is living through the deep reservoir of talent and knowledge and gifts that you have within you, inside every single one of us. So if I were to put a box on the table and I was to ask you, what's in the box? How would you answer that after everything that we covered today? I want you to use this box as a metaphorical representation of whatever it is that is happening for you in this moment. Maybe it's a specific challenge, maybe it's a certain opportunity. And I want you to ask yourself, what's in that box? But the only real answer is it's infinite. It's an infinite potential to be whatever it is that we choose to believe it is, until we actually open the box and observe physically what's inside of it. But until then, it could be whatever it is that we choose to believe. It's infinite potential. There's infinite possibilities. And it's a very similar concept and principle that we can apply to life. Life isn't given. There's no guaranteed step-by-step process that is mapped out right now for how our life is going to go. Every day, the actions, even the minuscule actions, are the votes that will accumulate and dictate how our life will proceed moving forward. It's a voting system. It's a choose your adventure type of movie. And the options that we take are simply the actions and behaviors and the decisions that we make on a daily basis that will determine how a certain event will end and ultimately how our life's movie will end. So moving forward, I want to leave a question, maybe a few questions to you, is that moving forward, I want you to ask yourself, what potential, what possibility, what potential gift could this specific event, challenge, opportunity lead to? And more importantly, what do you want to see? What do you want to believe? And I'll end on this. How will this knowledge, how will this information change things for you moving forward? Because simply put, I will only provide the information, I will only provide the knowledge and my level of understanding and present it through this video. But it's up to you to decide how you want to receive it and how you want to apply it and implement it so you can go out there and get closer to what you want. And I really love this quote. If you want to commit to something part-time, you will get part-time results. So I will wrap up the video there. Again, hope you enjoyed this one. This is a really, really essential and core concept that I've applied myself, and that is very important to me, hence why I'm delivering it on this video today. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.